Okay, I will be filling in today for Rabbi Sharf. We're continuing on page 738, Ois Dalid. So the Rebbe starts off the Sicha discussing the idea of the Haftarah of this week of Parshas Voeschanan, which is always right after Tisha B'Av, and it's the Haftarah of Nachamu Ami. And the Rebbe explains that the Inyan of Nachamu, the Kiflayim, the double Nechama. So the Inyan of double doesn't just mean two; it means the Inyan of Bli Gvul, Inyan of Ribui Mamish. Definitely this is also connected to the Parasha of the week of Voeschanan. So continuing on, the concept of Kiflayim is connected to the Inyan of Geulah, as he brings from the Medrash, that many of the Geulas were always communicated to the Yidden or represented by the Inyan of Kiflayim. For example, Lech Lecha, when the Eibishter told Avram Avinu to go to Eretz Yisrael, was Lech Lecha, which is a kefil of Lamed Chaf. And for example, you'd say sometime was Pocket Yifkod or Pocket Pakadati, two pays. Tzemach Yitzmach is two tzadiks. So that's all connected to the Inyan of Geulah, the Inyan of kefil and Kiflayim, of double. So in Eis Dal, the Rebbe continues, V'shleima shabli gvul shebegula amitis v'ashleima mudgash bekefil de Nachamu yoyser ma'asher b'chomesh eisiyas shenichpulu v'kulam lashen Geulah. The Inyan of Geulah, the bli gvul that is represented by the double Nachamu Ami, is more than all of the other five eisiyas that are mentioned in the Medrash. Why is that? Because in the kefil de Lech Lecha beis atevis shavis beis yisein lamed v'chof pshuta. Avachalukisem bepirushon uveteichnon. Mitzad achiluk minekudesein. Taket's a lamed chav, but there's different nekudas. There's lech, lamed besego v'chav b'shva, which is pirushay halicha, which means to go, and lecha lamed b'shva v'chav b'kamet pirushay lahana oscha uletevoscha. That you're going is going to be for your benefit and for your benefit. The yishleima shekele gamanos v'teves guolosim or kazdim. The point is that the two words, or the double words of Lamed Chaf, they actually mean different things. One means to go, one means what this going is going to benefit you. Then in the kefil of Pocket Pokaditi, Taka, it's the same taich of Pocket, of the Eibishter remembering, and therefore bringing the Geulah. But Pirush V'teichem Beis HaTeves Shove, Lashon Pekida, Avayesh Chiluk Beis Yisein, and Menukudei Sein. Pocket, Usherish HaTeva, Pei Kuf Dalid is the Sherish of remembering. It's the verb. I am going to remember. So the yifked is a verb, but a verb about the future. So you have the sherish of the Inyan of Geulah and then the Pula of Geulah. Can be careful the Nachamu. Ein chiluk beis yisein and ukadesein shalatevis akfulis shestein shavis mamish. When it comes to Nachamu, they have the same letters and the same nekudas and the same exact meaning. So what's the advantage when the double words are exactly the same? When you have a change in the words, that means even though they're essentially the same theme, but there are different efanim in that very same theme. As we'll see soon when we get to the Beis Mikdash Alein, there are different types of Batei Mikdash, different types of Geulas. Not just different types here. There's an advantage to one over the other. Besides for the fact that doubling the words brings a certain permanence to it and a certain bligvul to it. However, changing the words emphasizes the fact that even though this is Inyan of bligvul, but there's differences and there's different ways how it could be expressed. When the words are exactly the same, that means we have the Inyan of double in its purest sense, the Inyan of bli gvul in its purest sense, which is that there's no different efanim, different ways of how it happens. It's going to be Inyan of bli gvul mamish keshel atzmai. Shebekefel the pocket pakadati mudgash gam sheyesh efanim shenim b'hagula. ובכללוס החילוק שבין גאולה ראשונה, בייס ראשון לגאולה שנייה, בייס שני. ויש בזה מה שאין בזה. When it says pocket pakadati b'yetzias Mitzrayim, what that's being madgish is, even though Mitzrayim is the sheresh of all Goliaths, and the Yetzias Mitzrayim is the sheresh of all Geulas, but there are different types of Geulas, each one with an advantage of its own. Ubemela inza bligvul amitosei, mashein kreim bekefel the Nachamu mudgash abligvul binyan agula bligvul kefel amitosei. Here you have the truest expression of bligvul, and it's not pshat that it's missing the separate advantages, the unique advantages that the other Geulas have, but this expression of double of Geulah in its pure sense includes all of them, as we're going to see further on in the Isay. Yimteke Yeser, Hapi Divrei HaMedrash, Helchim Kulam HaAvez VaNavim Sheshalcha HaKadosh Baruch Hu L'Rachem Es Knesses Yisrael L'Fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ve'emrim Rebbeinu Shaleilam Eina Mekabelas Mimenu Tanachumin Shenemra Ani Aser Aleinu Chama. The Medrash tells us that the Eibushter sent the Avos and the Navim to console the Yidden on the Churban, and they come, as it says, Nachamu, Ami, go and be Menachem them. But then comes the next after, they say, Ani Aser Aleinu Chama. They come back to the Eibushter and they say that they're not accepting that consolation. So Amalu HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so Hashem tells them, Ani va'atem nelech v'nachamena, I will go with you to console them. Heve Nachamu imi. Nachamu imi, we're going to, Ayin bechidik b'makim patach, shepirusha imadi. David says, okay, it didn't work that you should be menachem them yourselves. I'm going to go together with you. Ein ro'i leilech. Ein ro'i leilech elo ani ba'atzmi. Yesh loimar, she'inin zemirumas gab kefel denachmu nachmu shay kefel meira ala bligvul shebenachame kima shenachame had HaKadosh Baruch Hu ba'atzmi bligvul ha'amiti. The Eibushter says, I myself am going to join you in being menachem the Yidden, and so this also is an indication and the greatest expression of this of the truest sense of a bligvul and the nachama, because it's coming from the Eibushter himself. We'll start, I say, but we're not going to finish it. We'll be in the prati. It says, "Shabligvul shebekefo denachmu in eshelach hasasham amayles aprati shebefana Geulah, shamayles prati seilohem mitzad abligvul shebegeulah." To further explain why the third Beis Hamikdash, the final Geulah, is not going to take away from the specific and unique advantages that each of the previous two Batei Mikdash had. Pirushim denachama b'keflayim nachmu shekefel nachamu hu al bayis rishon and al bayis sheni. One of the, why does it say it twice? Because the Pelmam should be lost two Batei Mikdash. V'tzarech lahavin. Kima shanachami he laid ak divrei pius hakeyetzu b'za alayidei shebeis hamikdash nivne mechadash l'maynav kiminu shenachama zoy lebinu beis hamikdash yal shnei churbanon shaleisei beis hamikdash. The nechama of the churban, the consolation that we're having, is not just that the Eibushter is coming and giving us words divrei pius in order that we shouldn't be bothered by the fact that we don't have a Beis Hamikdash. If it was just divrei pius, so the Eibushter has to be mefayis us on each Beis Hamikdash for itself, because each one had a special, unique advantage. But the nechama we're talking about here is the fact that the Beis Hamikdash is actually here. The word that the Rebbe sent about the Nichum Avelim, that the reason why we say why Nichum Avelim the lashon is Im Avei Tzim v'Yerushalayim is to be madgish that just like the nechama for Avei Tzim v'Yerushalayim is not going to be complete until the actual Beis Hamikdash is there, so too the real nechama for someone who lost a loved one, it's not going to be complete until Tchias HaMesim, when the person is going to be here. I'll call upon him if the Beis Hamikdash is going to be rebuilt. So we have the Beis Hamikdash. So why do you have to be madgish that the third Beis Hamikdash is in a chama, say in the first Beis Hamikdash and say in the second Beis Hamikdash? Each one of the two Batei Mikdash, each one had its unique inyan, which the other didn't have. The first one was in Izgalus Milamayla. The fact that there was the Aron over there, Makim Aron Einim and Abida, there were the 5 things that were there that weren't in the second Beis Hamikdash. However, the second Beis Hamikdash, its Maila was the fact that it was larger in space, and also it stood for 10 more years. Instead of 410 years, it was 420 years. So the first Beis Hamikdash was the Maila of the Geulah Ashchina, and the Maila of the second Beis Hamikdash was the Maila of the Tachtainim, the Maila of the fact that the Beis Hamikdash endured Agashmi for a longer time. We're going to stop here and continue from the Hasbarabaz Mir Hashem tomorrow. And Nachamu Ami, take it from Yad Mamish.